This is the project we're going to do today. This is going to be putting some heat transfer vinyl onto a black t-shirt, and this is going to be a rather long video because I am going to show you the entire process from designing the design to cutting out the vinyl and then pressing it onto the t-shirt. In the comment section I will put the timestamps for each of the different sections in case you'd like to just skip certain sessions and just watch certain portions of this video. And so let's begin. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a t-shirt out of a JPEG file. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to image tracing, an image in the computer, and this is the file right here that I'm going to input. Now I'm going to trace areas by color. And so this is going to make individual cut files out of all the different colors. And then I'll click OK. All right, now I'm going to select the whole thing. I'm going to come up to Layer, and I'm going to unlock all. I'm going to come to Edit, and I'm going to make it about 8.5 inches wide. That's going to be a good size. I'm going to come to Layer, Unlock All, Layer, and Ungroup. Okay, I'm going to come back over here to the Layers section, scroll down to the very bottom. I don't need the image anymore, so I'm going to just select that and delete it. Okay, so now we have all our individual cut files. So right now I'm going to assign them into color groups. And so I'll start with the sun here. And so I'll select that and I'll change that to an orange color. And there's also, I will zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm going to take all the ones that I just colored orange. So I'm just going to scroll down here, over here in my layers view. And everything that I've colored orange, well, it looks like, let's see, this one, let's see where this shape is. That one might be an orange one too. Let's see where it is. When it's selected, yeah, oh no, that one is part of the background. And so I'm just going to delete it because that's not part of the sun. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to select all my oranges. I'm going to right click and group them. And I will call this group the sun. And then I'm going to set my zoom up here to 50% so that I can see the whole view again. Okay, now I'm going to want to start doing the green colors. Now I want to do the trunks of the trees. I'm going to select all of the green, and I'm going to group them, and we'll call these green. And then I will select all of the browns, and group them. I'm going to call this tree trunks. So now we have our three colors. So to see our different layers, this is going to be our green layer, our tree trunks layer, and this will be our sun layer. Now I'm going to show you how to create an outline for your design. in cases where you want to put it on a t-shirt where the color of the t-shirt is going to interfere with your design colors. And I'm going to show you two ways that you can do this. The first way is we're going to come back to image tracing. This is if you still have your image. And this is the file. And last time we just did we did trace all areas by color. This time we only want to trace the outline. And so we'll click OK. And so I'm going to come up to Layer. I'm going to unlock all. I'm going to come to Edit It. And the first one we set to 8.5 inches, so we're going to set this one to 8.5 inches to make sure that it is the same color. And then I'm going to move it out of the way. So this is now our original, and this is the one that's going to be the outline. We can go to Layers, and we can go ahead and delete that image that came in. And so here you can see we have the outline. And if we were to click and drag this over, it fits it perfectly. So now I'm going to want to duplicate this. I'll drag it out of the way. I'm going to come to Edit. And I want to do an offset. So I'm going to select Offset. And we'll do it at 0.08. If you want it smaller, you can do 0.04, but we'll go ahead and do 0.08. And the selected original line we want to delete. And so we'll click OK. And so now we're going to drag this up here. And you see now we've got an outline. So I'm going to select both of those. And we're going to align them center and middle. And now we're going to come back to our layers. These are our two new shapes that we have put in. And so these two are now connected. And so this is the outside and this is the inside. So we'll call that one outside and this one inside. Now we're going to want to subtract them. And so we want to make sure the inside is above the outside. And so we're going to select them both. We're going to come to Edit. We're going to scroll down. And we are going to remove the overlap. So now when we come to our layers, we've got our two shapes up here. And so I'm going to drag one of them away. And so this is the one we want to keep. This is just the outline. So this one we can delete. Now I'm going to come over here and I am going to group this entire thing. And then we're going to click and drag this over. We're going to select both groups and we're going to come to Edit, and now we're going to make sure we align it to the center and to the middle. And that way now we have our outline. So if we come over here to here, I'm going to call this one Outline. And so you can see it a little better. I'm going to change its color maybe to a gray. And actually, let's make it a lighter gray so that it's not quite so stark. And so now you can see we've got our design here, and it's got an outline around it. And the outline is a separate from the others. And this is the group of the original design that we had made that had the green, the tree trunks, and the sun. And so we're going to ungroup this because we don't need all of those layers grouped. We want to have our individual colors back as individual groups now. So now we have 4 groups. So we have our outline, and you only need to cut this out if you need an outline. Then we have our green, we have our tree trunks, and we have our sun. Okay, so I'm going to select all those again. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this project. And now we're going to create an outline for the design when we do not have the original image file that we had used to create the design in the first place. So the first thing I'm going to do is select my entire design, and I am going to group it. Then I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm just going to move the duplicate out of the way here. And I am going to select offset, and I am going to go outward 0.04, and then I'm going to delete the original. And then click OK. Then I'm going to select everything in here, and I'm going to weld it. Okay, now I'm going to go back to offset. I'm going to do the 0.04. This time I'm going to do it inward and delete the original line and click OK. And now we've got the inside of the line. So I'm going to duplicate this again. I'm going to scroll this one downward. I'm going to select offset again. This time I'm going to do 0.08. We are going to do it outward and delete the original line. And in this case, I can delete this little extra file there. I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to align it to center and align it to middle, so that basically now we have our outline. So I'm going to go to my groups here, and this one I'm also going to delete this extra little shape in that particular line. So now we have the 2 shapes here. And so this one is the outside outline, and this one is the inside outline. Okay, now you want to make sure your inside outline is above your outside outline in the layers view, and select both of them. Then we're going to go to edit, and we're going to go to remove overlap. And now we can look at our 2 outlines. So we've got one with our outline. This is the one we're going to want to keep. This one we can go ahead and delete. And let's go ahead and go back to our layers view, and let's call this the outline. So now we've got our outline of our design. We can come up here and make sure that we select our outline and the group of our original design. We're going to come to edit it, and we're going to align it center and align it middle. And this way we now have our outline. Let's move this back up. And so this is the way you can create an outline when you don't have the original image file to help you. And let's change the color here of our outline so that we can see it better. And now I want to add some text. And I'm just going to say Paradise. And I'm going to select a font that I like. Let's see how that one looks. That one looks pretty good. And then I'm going to size it to the size that I want. Maybe change the color here to, for this example, let's change it to red. Okay, I'm going to select my text and make sure that it's grouped together, and then I'm going to duplicate it and move the duplicate out of the way. Then I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to offset 0.08. I'm going to want it to go outward, and I'm going to want to delete the original line, and I will click OK. Self-intersecting paths. Okay, let's divide it first, then we'll weld it. Now let's do the offset. Then I'm going to select the whole thing and I'm going to weld it. And then I'm going to group it. Now we're going to move it over here, select the original text and the outline. And we will edit it, and we are going to edit it to center and middle. Okay, now we're going to go to our layers view. And this is my outline, and this is my original text. I want to make sure the original text is on top of the outline, and I will select the two of them, come to Edit, and then I'm going to do a Remove Overlap. Now we'll come back to our Layers view, and now I'm going to group these two together. And we'll go to Edit, and we'll just move this out of the way to see that it did what we wanted. And it did. And so if we were to see exactly what it's doing, let's add a triangle here. And change, or a rectangle I mean, and we'll change that to black. Let's say this is on a black t-shirt. And so let's see, I'm going to, oops. Let's go here, select my group. I'm going to change the color to my outline color. And you can see now that it is going to be a perfect outline for that. So I'm going to select the group and the outline. And I'm going to align it up. All right, now one thing you'll notice is that it didn't do anything to the inside of the letters. And so what we're going to do here is we're just going to manually add a path. So I got to go to Select, let's add the path, and then I'm just going to click. And let's duplicate this one so that it's going to be the same for this A. And let's duplicate it again because it looks like the D is pretty much the same. And then we'll also draw just a small outline for the E. And then we'll set back to 50. Select, yeah, I guess we can move this out of the way. So now I'm going to select everything. And This time we're going to select Remove Overlap. And we can go ahead and delete our 4 shapes that we manually drew in. Right there. And let's group our outline. Well, actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and bring this back and make sure it's doing what we want, and that looks pretty good. And now I'll move the text to the position where I want it to be. Okay, now we'll come back to our layers view, and we're going to group the outlines together. And so this is outline. And then we will let's see what that one is. Okay, that's part of our outline here. So let's ungroup this. And this is all part of our outline. And this is our text. Now let's align our, oops, didn't want to do that. Align this back up in here as good as we can. Blow it up so that I can do fine tuning of moving that. There we go. We'll set that at about 50. And so now we have several outlines. We've got, or several layers. We've got our text layer, and we've got our outline layer. We've got the green, the tree trunks, and the sun. So when you add them all together, you've got that. And let's put our rectangle back in again so that we can show with different color material. So we'll make this a black shirt, and we'll send it to the back. And so you can see with the outline, if we were to remove the outline, the design doesn't really pop out. Now, if we change the color of the shirt to maybe a light green, you know, that's probably okay the way that is. But if the shirt is black, then the outline makes the design pop. So you can either cut out the outline or not. And so just by hiding these different layer views, and we'll just go ahead and delete our pseudo shirt color here. So you can send first the outline, and then you could send all the other layers and cut them out. And so the next part is we will actually send each of these layers one at a time to the ScanNCut, and we will cut out the vinyl. All right, now the very last, very important step, if you're going to be using iron-on vinyl with this, is we want to select everything. We want to come to Edit, and we want to flip it. You want to do the mirror image since you're going to be cutting from the back of the vinyl. So you want to make sure you're cutting the mirror image of each of your layers. And so we'll go ahead and we're going to save this design now. And we're ready to start cutting. Okay, now I've cut out all of my different vinyl here, and I put as many as I could fit onto my ScanNCut mat. I brayered it down with my brayer, and then I've also used some micropore tape to tape it down, because ScanNCut mats are notorious for not having much sticky. Let's see, this one I think I will have more at the edge, because these pieces I've cut to be about 1/4 of an inch bigger than the design layer itself. And so on this particular mat, I'm going to cut out the green layer, the brown layer, and the red layer. Okay, so now I'm back to my Canvas workspace in my layers view, and I'm going to hide everything but the ones that I'm going to have on. So on my mat, you'll remember I had the green vinyl up here, the brown underneath it, and then I had rotated the red 90 degrees. So I'm just going to move these so that they're in roughly the position they are on the mat. And this particular one, I'm going to want to go to Edit, and I am going to want to offset it or rotate it by 90 degrees. And then just click and drag it to its approximate location. And so now I'm going to come up to File and transfer the FCM file via the internet. And it says all objects that are hidden are not going to be exported, which is fine. We only want these 3. And let's see, some are outside of the dotted red. Okay, so we got to make sure that all of our designs are within the dotted red lines here. So it won't let us send it if I've got any of them positioned outside. Okay, so those are all okay. So we will transfer via the internet, and it now says it's ready to transfer to the ScanNCut. So now we'll go back to our ScanNCut. Okay, now I'm going to move my mat out of the way, and I'm going to move my ScanNCut. I'll turn it on. And okay. And so now I'm going to put my mat in, and I will load it. And let me try and show you. All right, now from the ScanNCut screen, I'm going to go to Retrieve Data. I want to retrieve it from the internet. And then I will click the Scan button to scan in the background. And so I'm going to click the Scan button now and start. Okay, so now you can see that our background has been scanned in. So now I'm going to click and drag my different designs and just move them to the wrench so I can change my settings. I want to make sure that my half cut is on, because this is heat transfer vinyl. I don't want it to cut all the way through. I only want it to half cut, kiss cut, so that it will leave the backing on. And then I will click OK, and then press Start. Okay, and what I like to do, just to be on the safe side, don't have to do it, but I like to cut it a second time. So I'm going to select cut again, and I'll just start. Okay, now that it's finished cutting, I just unload the mat. And we'll move this out of the way. And then I will remove the micropore tape. Okay, now we'll put our last two design colors on. And so I'm going to put the shiny side down. And so this is the yellow. And now I'll go back to the Canvas workspace and send the layer for the sun, and we'll be back. Okay, now I've reloaded my design, so I'm going to come back over here to the layers view. Let's go ahead and minimize all of these. And all I want is the sun. So I will just come up to File, Transfer File via the Internet. And OK. And now we will go back to the ScanNCut. Okay, now we're back to the ScanNCut. I'm going to just come home and OK. And we're going to retrieve data again from the Internet. And then I'm going to want to scan in the background again. Okay, this is a pretty light background, so I'm going to hit the wrench icon and set the background to the darkest. And you can barely see it. I'm going to go ahead and edit it and zoom in. And I'm going to make sure that I'm centered in my piece of vinyl here. I'll click OK. And now press Start to start cutting. Okay, and then I'll press OK, and I like to cut it a second time. You don't have to, but I get best results when I do it this way. Okay, and I'll just eject. Move my ScanNCut out of the way. And now we're ready for our last layer, which is going to be the background. Okay, and I'll load my mat. Hit the home button, click OK. Now we'll go back to ScanNCut Canvas, and we're going to send our outline to the ScanNCut. Okay, so now we are going to want to send our last layer, which in this case is the outline layer. So I'll go ahead and select that. Then we'll come up to File and Transfer File via the Internet. Oh, and it says some objects are outside of the dashed red line. So let's select it. Make sure everything is in. Then File, Transfer via the Internet. And then we're ready to go back to the ScanNCut. Okay, so now we'll come up to Retrieve Data from the Internet. Let's scan in the background. Then I'll select Edit, I'll zoom, and I'm going to make sure that my design is centered in the vinyl here. Okay, OK, OK, select to cut, and then press start. Okay, and then I like to cut it 2 times. Okay, so that is done, so we can eject our mat. And at this point, we're finished with our ScanNCut. So we can go ahead and power it down. And now we can go on to weeding the vinyl, which is basically getting rid of everything in the design that you don't want. Okay, so now we've got our cut pieces of vinyl, and now we're going to weed it, which is basically just removing everything that we don't need. And so let's zoom in. And so you just start on the corner with your little pick tool here and just pull away the corner. And then just carefully pull away, making sure you don't accidentally pull away parts of the design that you're wanting to keep. Okay, so now I have my text, and this is going to go down on the t-shirt like that. This side is a little tacky, and that's going to stick to the t-shirt, and so now I will just put that aside and I will weed the rest of the layers. And there's quite a bit of vinyl inside here, which I really don't want to waste. So before I weed that, I'm just going to take my craft knife Okay, now I can save this piece and use it for something else. And then I'll just continue to weed out. Okay, I'm going to use some Siser, I guess that's how you pronounce it, heat transfer vinyl to put on a black 100% cotton shirt. And so I have this little book that I bought from Siser, and it says here with the Easyweed, which is the type of vinyl I'm using for 100% cotton, we want to go 305 degrees with medium pressure for 10 to 15 seconds with a hot or cold press. So I have my Cricut Easypress2 here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And we need to set it to 305 degrees. So I'll set the temperature, it's already set. And then the time is going to be 15 seconds, which is already set. So it's beginning to warm up now. Okay, so I'm using my Easypress mat here, and I've got my t-shirt. And the first thing I want to do, while this is warming up, I'm going to press the t-shirt to get rid of any water that's in the t-shirt. So I'll press it on the front, and I'll also press it on the back. Okay, next to find the center of the shirt, I'm going to just fold it in half like this, matching up the sides here. And then I'm going to press a front seam here. Okay, and I don't know how well you can see the iron seam here, but I'm just going to now measure from either side. It's about a little over 11 1/4 and a little over 11 1/4. So this is the center seam right here. So I'm going to use my son as the base. And I'm going to want this to be about 3 inches from the top. So about right to here. And to find the center of this design, this is the non-sticky side. I'm just going to fold this over and put a crease on the top and a crease on the bottom. And then at the 3-inch mark, I am going to line up the crease with the line I ironed in to make sure that we're in the middle. Okay, now I'll put a Teflon sheet over this, and I'm going to do this for maybe 10 seconds. So I'm going to put my Easy Press on here, press it down. The reason I'm not doing it for the full time is because we're putting on multiple layers. And then release that like that. And next I'll put on the tree layer. And then I'll do this one for about 10 seconds. Okay, this little piece of grass didn't stick very well, so I'm going to put my Teflon sheet back over it. Okay, next I'm going to put my outline on. Okay, now as I put this down, I want to make sure it doesn't move anywhere, so I'm going to use some heat-resistant tape to just tape this down as I begin to position it. Okay, next I'm going to put on the tree trunks. And then the last will be my Paradise text. And now, since this is the last layer, I'm going to do the entire 15 seconds. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over, and I am going to press from the back for 15 seconds. Okay, and then from the front I'm going to put my Teflon sheet on it again, and then I'm just going to do one more light pressing over the entire design. And here's the finished design, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!